Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, so today we're going to be installing an export brace. This here is basically a brace that goes here between your shock towers and the front of your firewall. So your stock Mustang has one already, but it's pretty chintzy on the darn thing there. It's pretty thin gauge metal. It's spot welded to the outside of the shock tower assembly. So it's not the best in the world. It's not the worst either, but it's not as strong as something like this one here. So this one is a lot heavier gauge than the other one. And if you can see here, this bolts right on top of your shock, right where that shock mounting bracket. So this is directly over your shock where the flex happens there. So this should provide a lot more stability. It does come with these shock mounts here too. Comes with hardware to bolt on. We'll see here. It shouldn't be, there's not that many things to do to get it on, but trying to get the thing to fit probably going to be a bear. You know, after so many years, you know, your car flexes a little bit because it doesn't have any frame, which is why you want one of these on here. But you know, the chances of having all the bolts line up and all that stuff, it's going to be difficult. So there's probably going to be a lot of prying and various things like that, but we'll get it on. So let's get after it. All right, folks, first step here, removing our export brace here. We've got 4 bolts here up on the very top of your firewall here that hold these arms. And then there's 2 bolts right here, and this little brace will come off. So I'm going to get started on moving this. So this part of the brace right here is spot welded to your to this shock tower assembly, whatever the heck you want to call that thing. So you can remove that. When we get this off, you can just grind those and remove that out of the way. That's a lot better installation. I am just going to choose to leave mine there. You know, maybe someday there. This car, I'm upgrading it a little bit, but it's fairly numbers matching right now. And so I'm going to keep this just as it is. Maybe the next owner down the road someday, if I still have all the parts, might want to install it there. I've got all the, someone put a new manifold and that kind of stuff. I've got the carburetor. I've got all the original parts to the car that came with it when I bought it. So I thought I would do the same thing. So I'm going to leave that there. It's probably a mistake. Down the road, I'll probably take that thing off. But I'm going to just, right now, I'm just going to unbolt it. So we're going to unbolt those 2 bolts up at the top. And we're going to undo these 2 bolts right here. That's going to get rid of those braces. And then we'll be in good shape. Obviously, you can see here, someone's done a fantastic wiring with a choke. Wrapped it around that thing, so yeah, stuff you got to deal with. So these are all 1/2 inch right here. Get these out. So one thing, folks, here, just to be careful of, you got your little windshield washer squirter here. Mine's on top, so I just want to keep an eye on that. Make sure I kind of get it in the same spot as what it was. All right, it's out. All right, folks. So I've got mine up on jacks here. So if you're like this, you want to make sure you've got a jack underneath your front hub there for the next part. So you want to do it on both sides. Ideally, you just drive your car and you ain't got to worry about it. I'm doing other things there. So you always want to make sure that your tire is on the ground, or you've got support under this thing jacked up where the pressure's off, because what we're going to need to do is move this shock. If you got your car jacked up and your wheel off, the only thing that's holding the whole thing from really dropping down is this shock right here, and you don't want to unloosen that. So make sure you've got support under there and you've got the weight off the the spindle here. Make sure you got some pressure coming up on it. So I'm going to go ahead and now pop my shock off, and then we'll take this arm here off, whatever that thing is, a shock mounter. Doing some double checking down there. I need to get an extension. Go ahead and move this shock tower. Now, you got 3 bolts that come up from the bottom. 1 here, 2 up here. They're, let me get one here. All right, you can see here, so these come up from the bottom, where's my other hand? Here, and they got a square thing here that keeps them from turning. It's possible here, they're not going through a hole, they're going through a slot. So when you pull this off, there's a chance of you bumping it, touching it, and having the damn thing drop down. So have a magnet ready. If you do, it's not a big deal. It comes with new bolts as well. Whether or not your spring sometimes is underneath of that thing pressing up on the bottom, so it may be difficult to get them in there, so you'll have to see whether to reuse your old nuts or your new one here. But let's go ahead and get this off. Very tight there. So these aren't very tight here. I was replacing my shock here already, so let's keep all these here. I was doing another suspension video, and I dropped one of these damn things, and sitting there trying to fish it out of my spring with my magnet here. So let's see if we can get this up here, and then jack this up just a little bit more of mine. Just give me a little bit more space. Yeah, I need to jack it up just a little bit higher. There we go. If I can get this thing out. Alrighty. So here's these little bolts. They just slide in just like this. You just want to be really careful with the darn things, that they don't fall out on you, because that's what they want to do. Alright, so what we're going to do is do our other one, then we're going to get our export brace and get it on here. So let me get that done. Alright folks, I got my shock tower off. I've just got this export brace laid on here. So I got it on top of the firewall. The older one went underneath. This one goes on top. And then I've got it set on these 3 bolts, and I just put the nuts on the top just so they don't fall off. I took one off. One of them already fell down through the shock tower, and I had to fish it out. So I've got those 3 on. Now what we're going to do is go over here and try to get these on, and then we're going to try to get those bolts in there. So we'll see how this goes. This might pry, cause a little bit of prying and stuff like that. But yeah, let's just see what happens here. See how many times I can drop all this stuff. I had my magnet somewhere. Yeah, I know where it's at. Alright, I got my magnet here just in case. Let's see if I can get these ones here on. So I'm just putting these nuts on here just to keep this thing from going all over the place and losing these things. That's all I'm doing. So I've got it installed. Now what I got to do up here on the top is just try to get those bolts in. So let me get set up there and we'll get going on those. Alright folks, I decided instead of doing the top here, I'm going to go ahead and bolt my shock tower on here just for safety purposes there. As I start to think about it there, I hate having this thing like this because I've got it up on so many jacks. Anything were to happen, this thing could drop down, the spring could come shooting out of there. So I'm going to do this first, then I'll go up there and do that. So these things here, it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to get them around this thing simultaneously while not dropping all your bolts Alrighty, so I got all those on. They came with lock nuts and stuff like that because some of these things I had a hard time turning them off because one of them got caught on here. I had to pull out the spring in order to get it. I'm just gonna put my regular nuts back on here, and I'm gonna put just a little bit of blue Loctite on mine. So again, they came with all new hardware. Feel free to use that. That's what they give it to you for. But this is the route I'm gonna go. My ratchet here. Alright. Put my shock bolts back on here now. Alright, so I've got this on here. I'm going to get the other one on. I'm going to tighten these down, and then we'll get to work on that front one. Alright folks, so the camera turned off on me. So what we're going to do now is put our bolts in up here. It goes from the top down. I just want to put them in and make sure they're down flush. Then we're going to reach in here, put the nut and lock washer up out of the bottom. So that's that. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up and we'll take a look at everything. Alright, got my 4 bolts in all tightened up. Forgot to take this darn sticker off here. I'll have to get those off later. But that's it. It's all in. Pretty easy to do. Well, you can see on this side right here. See, that's the old one. So it looks kind of goofy. It does give you some more clearance. So it's up probably, oh heck. It's got a lot. That thing used to sit right, this bottom one sat right across my master cylinder. This one sits up there. So yeah, someday I'll probably take those off. Although, you know, 5 years from now they'll probably still be on there. They're not in the way. They're probably good to cut your hands. Honestly though, I think you could leave the old one on and put the new one in right over top of it. You'd have two of them. That's something to think about. But that's it. This is a export brace. It's a CJ Classics from CJ Pony. Comes with all the hardware. Yeah, all ready to go. Pretty easy job. So hope yours works out as easy as mine did. Bye.